Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to turn this kind of leg, damaged and rotted, into this nice, molded, and back to its original shape. Alright, so what we're going to need is some short screws, a drill, some really good reusable gloves that fit really well to your hands, Minwax wood filler, and make sure that you have the white tube that comes with it. Sometimes they're missing. You need that. You need some wood hardener from Minwax, of course. Probably some needle nose pliers, a flathead screwdriver, a wood file, and a palm sander. So let's get started. Okay, so after you have your wood hardener on your wood, you don't have to let it dry if you're anxious to go ahead and get started on the wood filler. It's actually sometimes beneficial. So we're going to start with placing a few supportive screws in the wood directly. And I like to do it at an angle. You just want the wood filler to have something to catch on. So it's not trying to catch on smooth wood like you see here. I'm actually going to try and I want to embarrass myself like that. That's it. And you don't have to screw it in all the way either. Alright. It just needs to catch right that. You can put one or two, and I'm actually going to do two. That'll make me feel better. And it could be old screws. I like to collect screws that are just lying around. I don't like to waste them. Alright, so I'm going to put that a little deeper. You want to make sure that you're not going to run the risk of hitting it when you're sanding or carving. So that's about right. The wood filler will be able to catch on those. Alright, so now that the hardener is on, the screws are in place, you can take a popsicle stick or some scrap wood or whatnot. You're going to open up your wood filler can, just like a gray putty. You're going to use the white lid as a bowl to put the putty in. You're going to scoop a good amount into the bowl. Make sure you're wearing gloves, by the way. I love these gloves because they last. You can reuse them. Even after the wood hardener stays on your gloves, you just peel it off afterwards once it hardens. And you reuse it. And they're $2 a pair at Home Depot. Okay. Well, I'm actually going to want more hardener than that. I'm almost done with this can. I might need to open a new one. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and scrape out this hole. Alright, so you have the putty in the bowl. Now you're going to apply your hardener. And the directions say to use 1/16 the amount of putty you have. And I like to just eyeball it. This creates the chemical reaction to let it cure within 15 minutes. And it cures even faster the warmer it is outside. I wouldn't do it on a cooler day because it would take way too long for it to cure. But today it's about 75 degrees and sunny. So it'll probably cure in about 10 minutes. And it'll be ready to sand in about probably 30 minutes. Alright, we're going to go ahead and roughly apply over the screws. We're going to get really dirty in a minute, but I'm just going to make sure the putty goes inside the screw, underneath it, just so it has something to catch. Put it on top. And you can see that I'm going to need way more putty, but this is just going to get me started. The first layer, I mean, when you fill in a large portion of missing wood, you're going to need several layers. So don't try and do it all at once, because you're probably going to set yourself up for failure. and just a goopy mess that's hard to sand and file. Trust me, I've learned from experience. Okay, so you have that coat. And I have a lot more, so I'm actually going to go ahead and start using my gloves now. I just go ahead and scoop it all in my palm and just start dabbing it all where I want the goop to go. I call it goop, sorry. And I'm just going to put it all around the legs. You want it to be really even. You want the whole texture to be consistent once you're done. So even if the area didn't need putty, I still put it on there just so it's a good texture all around. And don't worry about smoothing it just yet. It's going to be hard to smooth with your hands anyway. And once you put on another layer of the putty, all this little spiky stuff, it's going to have something else to hold on to. That's going to be perfect. You're going to want all the spiky look. It's great. And you just kind of eyeball it. Look at where else you want the putty to get in. I like my spikes, of course. And those spikes will harden. And you never want to put sandpaper on those spikes because it's just going to rip it. And I will teach you how to get these spikes off later. Alright, so we have our first layer of goop. I have a little bit left in the can, but alright, so we will let it harden for about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 30 depending on how cool it is. I'm actually going to go put it out in the sun for a few minutes because that heat is just going to really get that chemical reaction going to harden it. Okay, so this is already dried and cured. What I was telling you about just reusing your gloves, once it cures on your gloves, it's easy just to peel it off. So you're done peeling all the goop off of your gloves. We can make another batch. I'm going to open a new can since I just used the last of the old cans. Okay. Alright, so I got the new stuff. I actually still have some white wood hardener left over. I'm just going to go ahead and finish that tube. So I might not have been able to, I probably shouldn't have had any left over, but when I was first learning to use it, I was pretty cautious about how much I used, but now I know it's totally okay to use how much you think the 16th of the 16th ratio is. So I have a big goop now. You saw I just put a lot in my bowl. Because now, since we already have the first coat on, we can really get down and start shaping and molding. And I'm actually going to use this too, but I might need to open the other one because this is a lot. Never work with more than what you can use in that 15 to 20 minute period. Bad idea. Alright. So this is what I think 1/16 looks like. Right here. We'll go ahead and mix it. Make sure all the white is mixed in really well. Okay. Alright, so I think this is a pretty good batch. Now I'm just going to go straight and dive in my hands. So here we go. And you don't have to wait until it's totally cured to put another layer on. You just want it hard enough to allow it to be sturdy and to grip with the new layer of putty. And you just want to eyeball it again and really look at your empty spaces and see where it needs more, where it could use less. So you have a semi-molded leg. It doesn't look that great, but you're going to wind up with these knobs, these bumps all over it, and you don't want to put sandpaper to that. It'll just tear it right off. I have a super bar. You can use a flathead screwdriver, a file. I'll use that in a minute to show you how. But I like to just use this little hole right here or the flat edge and just start kind of skimming it. This is not all the way cured. It's still a little soft, but you can use it when it's soft or are already all the way cured. Party. So we're going to take our file and just start roughly smoothing it out. You're still going to wind up getting these big knots. You're going to start picking them away.